How are you?
I'm good. Just a moment of panic where I was like, what if she never comes? What am I going to do? So
I'm here.
I'm glad we made the tech work. So this is great. Wonderful. So let's get started.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Hey, Crystal, get back in. Sorry, it's family bowling night.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry I'm keeping you from family
No, it's
bowling.
good. You're good. This is the life.
Okay, good. All right. So tell us what Detroit Farm Insider is.
So we were initially we're a farm. But before we were a farm, it was Peck Elementary School. So essentially where our orchard is where the old Peck Elementary School used to be. And prior to that, it was Divinity of the Sacred Heart.
Okay.
So it has a long-standing history of just being an educational space, a nice positive space where youth can come and learn and just experience what they experience.
And it's basically an entire city block, right? Like,
Yes, but it's never, there were never any residential houses on the
okay.
property.
Okay. Yeah, I've been there before because I used to pick up a CSA from there. So that was
When it was food field.
yes, exactly.
Yep.
So what goes on at Detroit Farm Insider?
So the most exciting thing that we have going on right now is we are working or collaborating with the DPSCD, Detroit Public Schools Community District. And essentially what we're doing is a youth program where we'll be incorporating archery, our hive program with our beehives. We'll be incorporating goat yoga. We'll be having healthy food and snacks for lunch for the kids. And this year, starting in July, we'll have over 200 kids from Detroit Public Schools coming to the space to learn and to experience nature. And they'll be doing U-Pick with our cherry trees, which will be fruiting soon. And then after that, our plums and our pears.
So so it's kind of like a summer camp in the city for a lot of schools.
Yeah. So most cider mills, they provide group rates and programs for schools and scout programs. Our focus is primarily with the youth. So, and that's always been the catalyst. I mean, the cider mill has always been the catalyst for this. Of course, it's awesome to be able to provide an experience, a cider mill experience with the nostalgia of an old time farm in the city, so people don't have to travel 30, 40 minutes outside of the city to experience that. And this year we will begin building our cider barn. So when we begin that build, we'll have our commercial press delivered to us in September, and we'll be doing cider and donuts. We'll have our U-Pick for our apple trees in the orchard. We'll still be doing our hay rides, and we will officially be a cider mill.
Okay. And so is this going to be the first year, like the first apple crop into cider, or were you doing that in previous years?
So we've pressed cider with our apples in the past, nothing official. We've always been building up to this. Now, what happened last year is we had a harvest festival, and hold on one second. Hey, you guys, I need you guys to be quiet and keep it down, and you're going to wait until I'm done with the interview before we ask questions. Do you understand? Be good farmers, please. Put it down. Sorry.
No problem.
So last year we just had a harvest fest. It was a test run, and that test run kind of exploded because word got around and the news came out, and we had over 800 people on our farm at one time. So it was a good experience for us because it was a crash course. We were thrown in with the sharks, and we learned a lot of lessons. This year we're taking it slow, and we're preparing ourselves. We definitely want to be able to do this the right way and do it efficiently.
And so what does scaling up look like for you to get prepared for this like contract with the city and, you know, this huge change that's coming, like this, you know, basically the fall is going to be the first cider mill fall. So what does scaling up look like for you?
So we are partnering with Cass Community Revitalization Program. It's a revitalization program that is focused on our area, specifically District 5. And their focus is primarily on just green use, and they have the Tiny House Project, which is awesome.
Really
it's
close
headed
to you.
by,
Yep.
yeah, it's headed by Faith Fowler, who is my idol, my mentor. She is who I strive to be like. She is an awesome woman. She has the One Cup car wash, which is a phenomenal idea. It's focused on preserving water, and it hold on, I'm just gonna close this window real quick. There we go. That's how we solve that. We'll let them be kids on their own by themselves. So yeah, that's where we're at, and we're going to be partnering with them. Rochelle Riley, her organization has been a godsend. They've paired me up with a lot of good programs, and they're helping me with funding as well. So yeah, we just have all these awesome programs and organizations that are really interested in making this happen. And so right now we're just playing the waiting game, where our next step is building our cider barn, so we could have customers and the community come in and they could see the cider being pressed in real time. And then they could purchase retail items from local vendors, as well as honey and pies and candied apples and things of that nature.
All the stuff that you would expect from a cider mill.
From a traditional cider mill. One of the things I really want to focus on doing too is maintaining the nostalgia of an old time farm and cider mill, and really not veering away from that. So we're focusing on more holistic brands as well as activities. No plastic bounce houses on our property. Definitely, like our archery program. I'm corresponding with Black to the Land, and I'm fingers crossed they're going to be working with us. Like I said, goat yoga. These are experiences and activities that we want to offer to the entire community.
And so when you go to your website, I see chickens, I see goats.
Yes.
Chickens named like, there were a couple like your new goats. I forgot, they had really cute names. The bees. So day to day, what, are there chickens and goats on your property?
So the coyotes, man, there's coyotes in Detroit. We have one chicken. Her name is Survivor. We went from 30 chickens to one chicken. And so we have upped our chicken security, and that's where Cupcake, our dog, comes in, and she keeps the coyotes away. But we are working on getting more chickens. We have 2 goats right now. We expect more, Baby and Buttercup. And
Baby and Buttercup, that was it. Yeah.
Right. And when DPS comes for their field trips, we will be having our equine program as well. I forgot to mention that. And that's something we'll be offering to the community once we officially open up the cider mill. So you'll be able to do horse rides and things of that nature. That's
so wonderful to be able to, especially just expose people who don't have access to getting out to places that have, that have those experiences. Like, I don't know, you have to drive, 30 minutes to get to a cider mill otherwise, or something like that from here. So. Right. And fingers crossed the school that your kids go to actually do that. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So how did you come to take over the site? Like what was the transition from Food Field into, how long have you been operating there? So Food Field we incorporated Food Field. It had never been incorporated, but Noah Link ran that site, or was the owner of Food Field. And it just kind of happened organically. We were functioning through our nonprofit, which is Finding Our Roots.
prior to, we were doing neighborhood cleanups and seed giveaways, but we were focusing more. We were farming, of course. We had been farming for 5 years, but we were focusing more on our build. We were building a geodesic biodome, and the goal was to emulate that and build the first one and kind of show people how you can build this natural build out of natural materials, and how cheap it was and how efficient it would be and how strong it would be, and to continue, like, we're definitely all about earth ships and things of that nature. So we needed a space to kind of to get away from our own project, and Food Field was that for us. And so it was always just a haven for us. And to go from it being that haven for us and to really be able to see the vision of what it could be for other people is a process. It's definitely an eye-opening process. And so that's how, and they're so close from where our project had began. We were in District 2.
Okay. And were there always fruit trees on the property, or did you plant those?
No, so we've planted a few, but I can't take credit for that beautiful orchard. That was Noah and a slew of other of volunteers, and the greenhouses were donated through the USDA, and they sent their own volunteers to construct them. So yeah, a lot of that preceded me. Definitely, I learned so much from Noah, and he's a good mentor as well.
And so what does it take to be an orchardist? What kinds of things do you need to think about that people wouldn't think about?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know if I can call myself an orchardist yet, because I'm learning every day. I swear every day I'm in my books and I'm like trying to figure out a new solution to a new problem. So yeah, definitely, it's a learning process. And one thing I like to tell people is I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I learn by making a lot of mistakes, and I learn from those mistakes. And it's always really, really valuable for me to just step back and evaluate a situation after I've taken about 20 deep breaths and explored all of my options. So I have a lot of books on hand, and I guess with any craft that you have, you just have to have a slew of knowledge and a whole bunch of people around you who do know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So
who you have on speed dial.
Yeah, for sure. Are those people in Detroit or local, or are these people that are all over the country or all over the world?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, when right before the frost happened, I had the idea for fire pits, or for using the metal barrels to heat the orchard. But I don't, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just Googled orchards near me, and I just started calling around and seeing who I could get in contact with to speak with. And there was this one guy in Windsor who has an orchard, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he's okay with that, but he just stayed on the phone with me for literally 2 hours, and we were talking about trees and apples, and he was telling me all my options. And so, when I told him a few of my ideas, he was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I spoke with Andrew Blake with Blake Cider. He confirmed that that the fire pits in the orchard when the frost hit was a good idea. So, I mean, just trial and error.
Okay. And let's talk about those fire pits, because that is how I first learned about you and what you're doing. And my partner Mike showed me like a news story about how there was an early spring frost, and you were basically working around the clock with a team of volunteers to keep these trees warm so they would fruit in the fall. Is that the idea?
Well, the trees are all different. So right now our cherry trees are fruiting, and they're looking phenomenal thanks to the volunteers and thanks to the donated wood, and all of the donations. So yeah, that's it. The apple trees were most important to us just because of the U-pick in regards to the cider mill.
And so if you can please explain a little bit more about like what you had to do with the fires, like what that process was like and what you actually did, because I'm not doing it justice by explaining it.
So that morning, okay, so we knew about the frost hitting the day before, and so we put the call out for donations of wood and charcoal. That morning, early in the morning, we had to go pick up metal barrels, and we picked up the metal barrels. We didn't have enough, and so it was too late by the time we got them to the farm to really go back and get some more. So we set them up. And at that point, we didn't have volunteers coming yet. So it was me and my kids, our beekeeper, and one of our neighbors just helping to set up the barrels. And then around 11 o'clock, we just started lighting fires. People would show up, people would come, they would go, they would drop off wood. And so essentially for 48 hours, me and a couple other people, my kids, of course, were asleep by that point. Me and a couple other people, stoked fires and chopped wood and threw logs. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I've been farming for 5 years, and that night was the most laborious of my entire life. And I've had 2 natural births.
Yeah, you could tell you were very focused and probably very exhausted, because when the news showed up, you like were laying on the ground tending to the fire. You were like, I'm not even gonna get up. You need to interview me on the ground, or this is not gonna happen.
I really didn't want him to interview me, period, but he wasn't going away, so I realized,
And I think what really like moved me emotionally hearing you talk about the experience was just how many people came out to help like get this together, which I think is such a Detroit love thing. I think it's just something about we care deeply about each other, so that
it's an authentic love.
Yeah.
It's genuine. I don't know. I haven't been anywhere else and experienced it, and maybe I'm just talking, but I never experienced anything like that before, anywhere else. And this city is my heart. So yeah, and I expected it, so but it's so nice to be around so many people and just to feel love is an energy. You can't, you could say some things, some nice words to go along with it, but you have to feel it, and to feel that much love in one space, that much energy was dynamic.
So people donated wood, they donated their time, like around the clock, basically.
Yeah.
With you.
And they were passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's something very special about what you're doing, because it is so unusual to have in the city. We do have a lot of urban farms, but not necessarily that are interactive. So I think that is really special, and I think people realize that, and they want to keep a good thing going, especially something that's growing. Something that's blossoming.
Definitely.
Yeah. What is your background? How did you start farming?
Nature has always been healing. When people ask me that, I guess I haven't really come up with a unique answer. It's always been healing for me, and I had a pretty rough childhood, and I always found when I took my shoes off and put my hands in the dirt, things felt better.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that called like grounding or something?
Yeah, grounding.
Connecting with the Earth's energy. Yeah, sometimes when I have like a really stressful day, I just come home and take off my shoes and realize I've lost my connection. So
yeah, reconnecting is really important. And it's funny because, being an adult now, I understand that. But looking back when I was a child, it just, when you're a child, you go with what feels right. We're more intuitive that way. And so, I would have a stressful day, or I have some anxiety, and I would just roll around in the mud. And my grandmother, of course, would be you know, irate, but it felt good. And so, you know, growing up, I immersed myself in that. And anytime I needed to have a safe space, I would go back to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had my kids, it started initially with homesteading. We were homesteading. I had my garden, and I was just trying to feed my family. And our garden turned into a community garden, and everything. And it's funny because everything that every step, every path was initially I would always try to resist it, and it would just kind of like pour onto me. So yeah, I didn't want the community garden. I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't want these people in my garden. They're gonna. And then the camaraderie that I experienced with my neighbors was invaluable. It was priceless. And I, you know, and then it grew into 2.5 acres. So it went from two parcels, and then we ended up purchasing 2.5 acres, a whole block in District 2. And I sold my house, and we were cultivating the land, you know, on a vacant block. And so then from there to Food Field, which is now DFC. So.
And I'm sorry if I missed it earlier, but what was the attraction to go to Food Field? Was it just having more space? Was it being a different area?
I wanted to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
So Noah was very introverted. I was kind of introverted. We were a perfect pair. And he, you know, he was farming by himself. He was overwhelmed, and I just needed a safe space to kind of like get away. And so I would go there with my girls, and we would volunteer. And you know, he taught us so much. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to learn and have hands-on training. And he enjoyed the help. And so, yeah, I mean, and he was nearby to our project. So he was close to our project. We had suffered some loss, and we needed some reprieve.
So when you call Detroit Farm and Cider a safe space, what I remember about driving there the first time to pick up my CSA is the outside perimeter has a lot of like foliage and growth and trees, so you really can't see what's going on inside. So it does feel very insulated and like cozy and everything. And I think maybe that
secluded.
add to the like just feeling like you're in your own world, like, you know, away from the city.
Yeah, you forget you're in Detroit when you're there.
Absolutely.
And so unless you don't have specific instructions or directions, you can drive right past it. So you have to know exactly where to enter. But yeah, it's beautiful like that. And it was like that because it was a school, which is nice. So, and it's good to be able to just like, you know, even when in my downtime, when I don't have the public there, it's nice to be able to let my kids run around and not have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What does your team look like now, and what will your team look like, you know, come fall?
Family. Most cider mills are family run.
Okay.
And that's our goal as well. So, you know, and it's difficult because sometimes strangers see your vision quicker than your family does. But they're coming around, and you know, I figure the more kids I adopt, then I could just like create my family.
Isn't that kind of the idea with farmers anyway? You have kids
so
they can help you work the farm. I mean, that's
it's just, well, I'm a lot of people's farm mama. Uh-huh. So I had one of the neighbor girls come up to me a while ago, and she's like, Miss Lee, I have decided to call you mama. And I'm like, really, have you? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you're my farm mama. I'm like, okay, but you got to ask your real mama first permission. But I'm okay with it. So yeah, we have kids from the neighborhood. I have my little cousins and my nieces and my nephews, and they come over, and they're my babies. They're my life. So, and the goal is to give them something I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me joy. So at the end of the day, if the cider mill doesn't fall through and you know, that vision is a crash and burn, I still have them and I'm able to give them something that I wasn't given.
So they're just helping with all the aspects of the
Helping.
farm.
No. They are the farmers.
Okay.
My daughters, they wake up in the morning and they turn the aquaponics system on, they feed the fish and they water the grapevines. They have a routine. They're efficient farmers. They climb in trees to rescue cats. I get baby birds that have been abandoned every other day. They're thoroughbred. I think I posted a video too. The other day of my daughter, she's like pulling weeds and she gets a thistle in her finger and I'm like, are you good? You need some garden gloves? She's like, no, I'm good. Like, she's like, leave me alone. I got this. I'm about this life. And my oldest, who's 8, she drives the tractor and she cuts the grass. They're better than some of the people I've hired, and that's not just me talking as a parent. So
I love that. And I bet they
yeah.
absolutely love it as well.
Not all the time. Sometimes they're like, I don't feel like it. But at the end of the day, they love it. And they see the vision probably clearer than I do.
Mm-hmm. So you have the summer programming with the Detroit Public Schools community, and you have the cider mill gearing up for the fall. You have, tell me about the bees. Are you currently have beehives? What's going on with the bees?
We are working with a new beekeeper. Her name is Rachel, and we have not worked out the details to that just yet. So I'm going to tread with caution before I speak on
tell me the
that
vision
program.
for the bees then. Tell me the vision.
I would like to have 1 million beehives.
Okay.
And my vision is bizarre. I would like to see bees swarming all around me, but I know that's not realistic. My vision is to have a program to, for children, for the youth to come and be able to learn about beekeeping and to learn about the importance of the bees, honeybees, especially in cities like Detroit, and pollination, and to learn about all of these different aspects and how they play a pivotal part in the biodiversity of the farm. A very important part. So yeah, and to sell honey, of course. Honey is antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, and it has so many beneficial benefits that in building up the immune system.
Yeah. Don't they say that you should eat honey the closer it was like made from you, the better it is?
Locally.
The bees are surviving in the same environment that you're living. They're thriving.
It's all about biodiversity, and that extends outside of the farm, near your house. That's in your entire area. So, incorporating that and understanding that and the role it plays in all of our lives, and the importance of maintaining local farms and being a part of that community and participating and educating our youth in regards to it is so important.
Absolutely.
I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, you're doing perfect. You're right where I need. It's like very interesting conversation, and I'm just learning so much. We had a question from somebody. They want to know where the cider mill, the Detroit Farm and Cider, where is the location, if you don't mind saying that again?
So we are at 1600 Lawrence Street. We're right between Woodrow Wilson and Rosa Parks. We're not far from the Job Corps and, of course, the Tiny House Project, our Tiny House community through CAS Community Social Services. And it's not Highland Park. Everybody's asked me, is that Highland Park? No, and it's not Boston Edison. We're Detroit West Side.
So you take the lodge to the Webb exit, go west, and then I think south on Woodrow Wilson. And
we're gonna start trying to redirect people to the Chicago exit.
Okay.
If you're coming from north. If you're coming south from downtown, then yeah, you could take web.
Okay, got it. Another question, are you going to offer CSAs this year? And also, what are CSAs?
So this year, I don't, how did I forget to talk about this? This year, we are not doing CSAs. We're doing something much more fun.